March the 13th, will be called to order at 7:05 p.m. At this time, would everyone willing and able please stand for the invocation given by Alderman Paone, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord and Creator, we thank you for this gathering in your presence. We ask you to guide our thoughts and our actions so that this meeting may be successful. We thank you for your assistance in accomplishing our goal. In your name we pray.
Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Panalese.
Present.
Alderman Bud. Here. Alderman Paone.
Present.
Alderman Pinelton.
Here.
Alderman Theresa.
Present.
Alderman Whitman.
Present.
Alderman Kirby.
Present.
Alderman Pfeiffer. Alderman Arnett.
Present. This evening, we have a number of changes to the agenda, so I'll ask if the council at this time would entertain a motion to approve the confirmation of David Gerald as Public Works Director, also to add ordinance 01617, the Market House tenant solicitation, and 01717, the Market House amendments. In addition, to add a citation for the Residents Advisory Board of the Housing Authority, and to remove 01317. The removal of 01317.
As the first reader.
Yes. On the
So moved.
Mr. Mayor, would you read those by title, please?
01617 is to be added on first readers, the Market House tenant solicitations. 01717 is the Market House amendments. There's not an ID number for David Gerald, Public Works Director. And then there is 01317, is the parking enforcement rules.
I second, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any issue with any of those, but if I could just get some explanation for why 01317 is coming up.
Let the city manager address that.
Yes, Alderman, there was some questions raised by a member of this body about it, and I want to make sure that we're able to answer those questions before entertaining the legislation in earnest. So I'm requesting it be withdrawn for 2 weeks, to give me a chance to explore that and then bring it back.
All right, I appreciate that. And the question about with David Gerald, I'm obviously thrilled that he's coming back and have no problem endorsing that. I don't want to ask my question during that phase, so I'll ask it now. What is going to happen to Mr., I'm not sure I pronounced his name correctly, Mr. Bucamp? Jim? What's his status at this point?
The city manager addressed that. He had a conversation with Jim on Friday.
And what is the status of I believe is the former acting Public Works Director?
Jim Beecham.
Mr. Bucamp. Beecham? Like I said, I'm not trying to say his last name yet.
Yes, I'm in discussion at this point with Jim about additional responsibilities that I'd like to explore with him. I've extended his contract for 30 days to allow me to engage in that conversation with him, and I will update you in the next couple of weeks.
Extending 30 days from when?
From today.
Okay. So 30 days contract to explore other
Yes.
potential work. And what will he be doing that 30 days?
He's physically located in the finance department, and he's going to be doing some project management work for us over the next 30 days.
What projects?
Principally some CIP projects where we're interested in making sure that the expenditures that have been appropriated are made. One of which, of course, is the completion of the water plant.
Okay. And you'll keep us updated?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Kirby.
Yeah, 013-17, parking enforcement rulemaking responsibilities. It's on the consent calendar. Is this the ordinance that's going to deal with raising parking fee times to midnight?
That's why we asked to have it removed. But no, it is not that one.
It is going to be removed from the consent calendar?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, from the consent calendar or the agenda?
It's from the agenda. You haven't approved that consent calendar yet.
Right.
So from the agenda.
Coming
forward.
on.
Correct. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is confirmation and swearing in of David Gerald as Public Works Director.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of David Gerald as Public Works Director? Is there a
Second.
I assume there's no discussion, but I have to say it. Any? Great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, since Mr. Gerald has been kind enough to present himself, would we offer him the opportunity to say a couple words?
We were about to do the swearing-in ceremony right now.
Very good, thank you.
We'll give him a chance afterwards. Well, David, I think I speak for all of us when we say we're glad to have you back. For those on the council that were on the conference call or the meeting at the Office of Emergency Management this morning, we all know we have a potential big storm coming tomorrow. David was there and was already started to work, so we're thrilled to have you back, and we miss everything else. So if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Public Works Director according to the Constitution and laws of this state and the Charter and Code of the City of Annapolis. Perfect. Welcome back. You want to say a few words?
No, it's great to be back. This is a great city. Baltimore was interesting, but I'm really, really happy to be back in Annapolis. So thank you very much for the opportunity to come back. More than enough.
Madam City Attorney,
He already
would you please
answered that
present our
question
next
for
item?
us earlier today, though.
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is the City Council citation to the Resident Advisory Board of the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis.
Would the members please join me at the center table? Thank you. All right, we have a citation here before us for the Resident Advisory Board of the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis. And we're going to get into the background of it in the citation, but for the most part, these women have a leadership role in their community, trying to promote positive things that are occurring. And I was president of my community association at one point. No matter where you live, there's always issues that come up. So thank you. I know it's a thankless job, what you're going through, and people appreciate it. So I always admire people that step up to lead, especially in challenging times. On behalf of the citizens of the City of Annapolis, we are pleased to confer upon you this City Council citation in recognition of being selected as the 68th recipient of the prestigious Martha Wood Leadership Award. We applaud the board for being the spokesperson for the individual community resident councils, informing residents of their rights and responsibilities, assisting the Housing Authority in all aspects of public housing operations. We further acknowledge that the board investigates and attempts to resolve resident grievances while consulting with the Housing Authority on the annual 5-year plan submission to HUD in Washington, Housing and Urban Development, which represents the best interests of all the residents. We honor you tonight for your dedication to our residents and for your contributions to our community, given under our hand in the Great Seal of the City of Annapolis on this 13th day of March, 2017, signed by myself and all the members of the council. And I have one here, but I will make sure each of you get one of these citations. Does anybody want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We wish to really thank the Martha Wood nominating committee. We have some of our members here. There's some due to sickness and being out of town. But I would like to introduce to you the Resident Advisory Board officers. And to my right, we have Deborah Odom, who is my vice president. We have Tanya Watson, who is our secretary. We have Lillian Studevant, who is our treasurer. We have one that's missing, really, who is Belinda Day, who is our sergeant of arms. And I am Jackie Wells. I'm the president. But we also have some resident council members here. President Glenda Smith of Newtown 20. We have the acting vice president of Old Berry Court, Pamela Darren. And we have the vice president of Newtown 20, Mae Bridges. And I think that's it. But if anybody want to say anything?
I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for actually representing to all of us. We really work very hard in our communities to do what we do to keep our community safe, along with the Annapolis Police Department and all. Unfortunately, last Sunday morning, I was glad to assist in something Sunday morning. There was a young man. He was a Mexican, and he had got robbed. For some reason, I don't know what made that young man knock on my door. But he knocked on my door. He had no shoes. He had nothing on. And I got to help that man and call the police department. I just wish they had came a little faster so they could have got the person they got. But, you know, I was just glad to be able that I could help him. So I'm glad to be part of the Resident Council and the RAD Board. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I would like to thank you for the award, and I would like to say that it was an honor to serve my community, Newtown 20, because it's just everybody stepping up and being united to help one another. It's not where you live, it's how you live, and everybody get together to make a difference. Thank you.
Madam City Attorney, would you please present our next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is a ceremonial item, a proclamation for John O'Leary.
Mr. O'Leary, if you could join us at the front. All right, so I'm going to look around. Council members, everyone in the public, and people watching at home. How many people went to the St. Patrick's Day Parade? Volunteered and went to watch it? All right, good showing. I think this year was actually the largest. How many people, how many floats were there?
We had 115 floats this year, Mr. Mayor.
That's actually the biggest one. Parades are one of the things that bring us together, and I know Felicia Nolan permits, I think, 200 events in the city, a number of parades, and you have the biggest one. So from a tourism point of view, thank you for bringing these people in, and for the locals, thanks everyone for participating. It brings the whole community together. It's a great time. And these things don't happen by magic, which is why we're honoring you. I know there's a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes, making phone calls, organizing. It's a tremendous task. So I want to thank you for that. So I'll read this proclamation to you. Whereas John O'Leary has successfully taken on the Herculean task of creating, planning, and executing the Annapolis St. Patrick's Day Parade. To the delight of thousands for the 5th year in a row, and whereas the parade, which honors the Irish saint, is the largest in the region with more than 120 units, bringing in an additional 20,000 people to the city over the weekends. And whereas the festivities, which accumulates with the parade on Sunday, has numerous positive economic impacts on the city and its businesses. Whereas each year the parade and surrounding events support numerous local charities, including Wounded Warrior events. And whereas a former Marine, we applaud you for your service to the United States of America. And whereas, as the founder of both Warrior events and the Annapolis St. Patrick's Day Parade, we applaud you for your persistent and dedicated service to Annapolis and recognize your significant contributions to our community. Now, therefore, I, Michael John Panelides, Mayor of the City of Annapolis, do hereby proclaim to be John O'Leary Day in the City of Annapolis. Congratulations.
Which day is it? This day forever? Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Mayor. And I guess I should clear up a couple of things. First is, not to clear it up, but thank all of you for allowing this to go on. Thank all of you in the public for supporting this. I get a lot of questions about why we do it a little bit early in the year. And I was walking around Annapolis yesterday, and it was a little bit dead. It was kind of cold. But last Sunday, it was packed, and there was a lot of constituents out there having a nice time, and the businesses were full. And from day one, we did it early so that we could bring some business to town in an otherwise dead part of the season. I'd like to also reach out to the sponsors that make this happen, the Kelly family, and some of the local establishments, to include Acme Bar and Grill, Stan and Joe's, and Armadillo's, that put up a lot of money to ensure that we're able to make this thing go on. There are others, but those are the major sponsors. So thank you all. I didn't expect this. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much. All right.
Take that plaque down the street and put it on the bar.
Oh, that's where I'm going tonight. Can we come with you? Thank you so much.
Let's give another round of applause for Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginning with reports by committees.
Is there any alder person that would like to present a report? Alderman Budge?
Mr. Mayor, the Transportation Committee met last week. We considered several pieces of legislation which are now off to the Transportation Board for their opinions, and they will be coming back to the council in due course in the future.
Thank you. Alderman Pan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Economic Matters Committee will meet next Monday right here in the Chambers chamber at 6:30 p.m. Immediately after the Public Safety Committee meeting, which starts at 5.
Alderwoman Mr. Lacy?
Yes, thank you. The Public Safety Committee met last Wednesday, actually, a little later than normal. We heard from both the police chief and the fire chief, who gave us an update on their goals for the year. We had a brief discussion on the active shooter tabletop that took place last year at St. John's College, and the plan is for a follow-up exercise. And we had a report on the continuity of government legislation that the committee will be bringing forth to this body to approve. And I think that was it. Our next meeting will be Monday, the 20th of March, here in council chambers at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Lippman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Jarrell, I will make sure you're aware of our agenda for March 16th, since you got something added that from your predecessor. We're going to be talking about the water treatment plant update. As many of you know, you might have some interest in finding out what's going on, and we're a little behind deadline, I believe. I think we'll get some details, and I know that you'll be prepared, but just want to make sure it's on your radar. Thank you. So that's upcoming at the next meeting on March 16th at 1:30. At our last meeting, which was, when was it? On February 24th, we approved the appointment of Eric Picketts to the Port Wardens, approved water service agreements under 0217 and 0417, but the most time-consuming was 03816. This is what we've been referring to as the no net loss legislation, and I want to make sure all council members are aware there is a set of amendments under Lippman proposed amendments. I had sent this to you a while ago. During this Environmental Matters Committee meeting, we made some slight amendments. So if you looked at it initially, please refresh and look at the current version of it. I particularly call that out for the Rules Committee, which is meeting tomorrow at 4, and we'll take up this legislation, and Economic Matters, which I believe will be meeting on a week from today on the 20th to take up that legislation. So I just want to make sure you're all prepared for it.
Anyone else? Alderman Arnett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rules and City Government will meet tomorrow at 4 o'clock, rain or shine.
Or snow?
We want a snow date.
It's going to rain, so we're going to meet tomorrow at 4.
Right.
And there's a lot of other things on the agenda, but bring your snow shovels and come on out.
Thank you. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
We have one person signed up to speak, Shelley Rowe. And if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
There it is. Okay, I'm Shelley Rowe. I live at 531 6th Street, and I am here tonight to thank you for what I hope you are going to do in the consent agenda, not to put any pressure on you. I am Mike Myron's wife, and on the second reader for tonight is an item to name the street and park for Michael. And many of you know him or knew him, and you know that he has a long record of service in the city. Not only was he a city employee, which was something he was extremely proud of, to work on behalf of the businesses in the city, but you know, long before I came along, he was very active in Greenscape. He helped start the Eastport Business Association, was its first president. He helped start what is now the Annapolis Maritime Museum. He was on the Planning Commission. He was the chair of the Planning Commission. He helped plant the wetlands that are now growing and flourishing right there at the end of the bridge, the Shell Station. He was very proud that he helped raise the money for the playground that's in Eastport. And when his daughter and I were going through some old photographs, we found a picture where when Dennis Callahan was mayor, quite some time ago, Michael won, are you ready? The Golden Trash Can Award for having the tidiest business in town, and it was a service station. And I think, not to be underestimated, he was Ross's backyard buddy, where they met across the fence to solve city problems. And so I brought some of Michael, this is his favorite hat, and of course it's the McNasby's. But the reason that I think that it's important that I wanted to be here to thank you is because there are so many people in Annapolis who volunteer. And Michael was one of them, one of many, and there have been so many here tonight already. And I think it's so special when the council does something that recognizes the volunteer effort by the citizens of this city, because there's so much that happens through the volunteers. And so Michael was one of them. He spent his entire life volunteering here, and I just want to say on behalf of him, his family, and the others who volunteer, thank you so much for recognizing his effort. Thank you. Ross, thank you.
If anybody else would like to address the council, now is your opportunity. Seeing no motions, I declare petitions, report, and communications closed. Madam City Attorney, would you please present our next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is update from the mayor.
All right. So I think the big elephant in the room we can talk about is the weather forecast for tomorrow. So we're predicting to receive 3 to 4 inches of snow between tonight and Tuesday morning. Although I will say my favorite prediction so far is between 1 and 11 inches. So it's kind of all over the place sometimes. Okay. We'll wait and see how much snow we get, but I've authorized all 4 city garages to be open to residents. I'm urging residents, not just those along the snow emergency routes, but to park in there. It's not required at this point, but if the conditions worsen, then we will require that going forward. For more information on plowing, please go to Annapolis.gov. We make it easy to find with the new website. All you have to do is click under headlines. There's a button, Snow Route Maps, where the emergency routes, along with others, will be located. On a different note, but still transportation related, we had a ribbon cutting with the Maryland Transportation Director, Paul Comfort. I want to thank him. The governor's new commuter bus now has routes going from Annapolis to Baltimore and from the Eastern Shore to Annapolis to Baltimore. So I think in today's economy and everything else, connecting people to a job, it's great. I applaud Governor Hogan for seeing the real need for transit connectivity and solutions that serve all of our residents. For someone who used to work in Baltimore, for a $5 trip, I wish we had that back then. The commuter bus 215 will consist of 3 morning round trips starting in Baltimore and terminating in Annapolis. The afternoon routes will provide reverse service from Baltimore's 215 bus, non-holidays and weekends, and as I said, it's a $5 bus fare each way. And they will have connections along the light rail, the metro subway, and local bus routes in downtown Baltimore. As an incentive, we're encouraging people to try this route free through March 14th, so come through there. I'm also pleased, we have the Annapolis Renewable Energy Park, where we're going to put up 50,000 solar panels on a closed landfill. We went and testified in front of the county council the other day, and they agreed to purchase some of that energy from us. Local governments have requirements, so I know we passed legislation a while ago, but we've been working nonstop on it. And the school board's set to purchase some additional energy, and we look forward to having those up towards the end of the summer. Local governments are mandated to purchase 25% of their power through a renewable source by 2020. I also want to say that in this council chamber, we had an exciting thing happen. We did a number of promotions, and we had some retirements as well. So it's always good when you can honor people for their years of dedicated service. I can tell you, just being mayor and everything else, public service is a thankless job many times. So I want to mention them by name. We had Captain Cynthia Howard, who retired after 30 years of service. We had Lieutenant John Freeman, who retired after 25 years of service. And Officer First Class Joseph Ridley, who retired with 24 years of service. So I think we should give them a round of applause for their service to the city. Another highlight on public safety, it's the 150th anniversary of the Annapolis Police Department. The Capitol had a great write-up today about the history, tracing it back to the 1800s forward. So I just want to let you know we're having a couple events on April 22nd. There'll be a public safety expo at Weems Wayland Field. And on June the 17th, the Annapolis Police Department will hold an open house at the police station. We'll keep you updated for more events, and that concludes the update from the mayor. Alderman Lippman.
Mr. Mayor, did you mention the gentleman or the individuals retiring from the fire department as well as the police department?
This was one for the police department.
Is there any reason why we didn't acknowledge and thank the officers retiring from the fire department?
We can certainly acknowledge him at the next meeting. There wasn't a reason for not doing so.
Thank you.
Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar.
Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Is there a second? Any discussion? Alderman Arnett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You heard from Shelley just a few minutes ago, and the second reader is the resolution. When the Finance Committee met, we noticed that there was not a financial impact report. We asked for that, and I think we have received it. We might ask the Finance Director or the City Manager to give it, but it's around $1,200. The City Manager has assured that there are funds available, so although I wouldn't mind having a council vote on this, taking it off the consent calendar, but if there was concern about this, I think the finances are known and covered.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Alderman Lippman? All right. Anyone else? Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Panley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Pinnell Charles,
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Whitman,
Aye.
Alderman Kirby,
Aye.
Alderman Bison,
Aye.
Alderman Arnett,
Aye.
Alderman Bud,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is public hearings, beginning with Charter Amendment CA 117, collection of taxes, for the purpose of removing the 3-year limit for the city to collect property taxes, authorizing collection of taxes in the manner prescribed by the Annotated Code of Maryland, and removing the 3-year bar to recovery for taxes not timely collected.
Nobody had signed up in advance. If you'd like to address the council, now is your opportunity. Seeing no motion, I declare the public hearing on CA 117 closed. Will you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is Ordinance 0917, lease of city property, fall 2021 through 2026 boat shows, for the purpose of authorizing a lease of certain municipal property located in the General Harbor, Dock Street, and Edgewood Road areas to United States Sailboat Shows Incorporated and United States Powerboat Shows Incorporated for certain periods of time from 2021 to 2026 to conduct boat shows.
Nobody from the public has signed up to speak. If you'd like the opportunity. Seeing no motion, I declare the public hearing on 0917 closed. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is Ordinance 01017, lease of city property, spring 2021 through 2026 boat shows, for the purpose of authorizing a lease of certain municipal property located at the city docks, surrounding areas, and boat moorings in Annapolis, Maryland, as more fully described in the lease agreement with Cruisers University Incorporated, trading as Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show, for certain dates in 2021 through 2026 to conduct boat shows.
Nobody was signed up. If you would like to address the council on this matter, now is your opportunity. Alderman Lippman.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor of 0917 and 01017, please.
I'd also like to be added as sponsor to those two legislations, as well as 014. 17. Yes. Thank you.
Seeing no motion, I declare the public hearing on 01017 closed. Madam City Attorney, would you please present our next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is Ordinance 01217, compensation of the mayor, alderman, alderwoman, and city manager for the purpose of specifying compensation and allowances to be paid to the mayor and alderman, alderwoman for the term of office commencing on the first Monday in December 2017, and for specifying compensation allowances to be paid to the city manager.
Nobody was signed up in advance to speak. If you'd like to address the council, now is your opportunity. Seeing no motion, I declare the public hearing on 01217 closed. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is a proposed motion to reconsider 0317.
Is there a motion to reconsider 0317?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
For discussion, we have, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to amend 0317 on second reader? Is there a
So
motion
moved.
to, apologize, is there a motion to adopt 0317 on second reader?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have two amendments, rules of city government. And I'll let the sponsor speak to those.
Well, if I could open. Trying to see what the amendment is. The thrust of the amendment is not to have a date certain, but to cite, in the case of Amendment 1, at the first council meeting of April, and in the Amendment 2, the third Monday of March, rather than tying it to some other date. So those were the two. The third Monday in March was discussed to try to give as much time for the union negotiations as possible. The first council meeting in April is the traditional time in March when it is given, and this was just changing that to the first council meeting in April.
Is there a motion to adopt the amendments? I would vote on them as a block. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to adopt 0317 as amended on second reader? Oh, apologize, I do have my amendment. Is there, well, I'm asking, is there a motion to adopt the next set of amendments?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, can you just speak to him quickly, since obviously we dealt with this at a previous meeting, why are you bringing this forward now?
Sure. I think as the city manager brought up and Alderman Olet kind of alluded to, the amendments speak to the timing of it. We wait generally for the comptroller. We will wait for the comptroller to give his financial report, helps him craft the budget. Typically they have come the first meeting in May. Now we're pushing that back, so we're not basing budget on assumptions, but actual numbers coming forward. Sure.
Well, actually, there's a section under the mayor's responsibilities that states that that the budget actually has to be presented today, and this is March. So when you made your change to present the state of the city address today, and since you changed the legislation to adopt a budget in March, state of the city and the budget is all on one night, and this will make it consistent. If there
Somewhat
were
of a
just in two
technical
different
cleanup.
sections of the code, it was under the mayor's duties for the state of the city address, and it said the second Monday in March. But when you guys changed the legislation to have the budget introduced in the first week in April, first meeting in April, he would be introducing the state of the city address tonight and introducing the budget. So we wanted to make it consistent.
Thank you. Alderwoman Finlayson?
And maybe this is a Robert's Rules question, maybe it's a procedural question, but is there some capability to address changes throughout the code collectively? And what I mean is, when you change one date in one place, is there an ability to automatically make wholesale changes that are applicable elsewhere? Maybe I should ask the city attorney that question. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, I understand the question. I think you'd still probably have to call out the sections, but you could do it collectively. But I'm not sure you could do one section and then just say to everything else it applies to. I think you'd have to go through and find all the sections.
I think I've worked in other organizations, large organizations, where there's a stipulation that says the change of this date will thus impact all other dates on this topic or something
I
like
could
that.
look into it.
Would you? I think that would be appropriate,
and
so
let
we
you
don't,
know. Yeah, because for efficiency, I see where you're.
yeah,
I will let you know.
thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Is there a motion to adopt?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
another amendment, something that we apparently all overlooked, is in section 616.030 on the capital budget, still has the language about the latter of the date of the comptroller and yada, yada, yada. And I propose an amendment that we strike on page 3, starting on line 24 of the ordinance. We strike all of the language starting with upon the latter of the date, the Comptroller of Maryland provides the city with anticipated property tax revenues for the upcoming city fiscal year, or, and finish our strikeout there, leaving the second Monday in April of each year.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to adopt 0317?
I have a motion to reconsider. If we're going to be consistent, we should say the first council meeting, not the second Monday.
Right you are.
Question. Did we not make that change in the ordinance when we approved it on second reader initially?
You're asking us if we know what we did?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, heaven forbid, yes. Okay. Well, that fixes it anyway. Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion to reconsider. Is there a second?
Aye.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Now it's the actual reconsideration. Is there a motion?
Instead of saying the second Monday in April, we say the first council meeting in April.
In April.
Is there a
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to adopt 0317 on second reader?
You're going to stretch the second.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to adopt 0317 on third reader?
So moved.
As amended. Yeah. Second?
Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Panlady,
Aye.
Alderman Kendall Charles,
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Littman,
Aye.
Alderman Kirby,
Aye.
Alderman Pfeiffer,
Aye.
Alderman Arnett,
Aye.
Alderman Budge,
Aye.
Alderman Payone.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam City Clerk, would you please present the next item on our agenda?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is legislative actions on first readers, beginning with Ordinance 01617, Market House Tenant Solicitation for the purpose of establishing a public process for selecting a Market House tenant.
Is there a
So moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I refer 0617 to Economic Matters Committee and the Finance Committee. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is Ordinance 01717, Market House Amendments for the purpose of amending the Market House policy to reflect a tenant and subtenant relationship, clarifying Market House product and service policies, and removing the requirement for an enterprise fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Madam City Attorney, would you please present the next item?
Mr. Mayor, the agenda has been completed.
On the previous one, I refer 01717 to Economic Matters Committee and the Finance Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think it's been completed. We have boards and commissions annual reports under for good of the order.
Oh, sorry, my apologies, I skipped one ahead. Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is for the good of the order, beginning with the distribution of the boards and commissions' annual reports.
Where are they?
Mr. Mayor, can you explain why some
No,
of
no.
the titles are in green and some are in red, what the significance of those colors are?
Madam City Clerk?
The accounts that are in red did not submit a report, and the one in green never met.
The one in red is Environmental Commission, and there is a report provided here.
Maybe they didn't meet when we,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
the environmental,
Yes, there is a report provided in the 75 pages here. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
we will fix that. But maybe when we're creating the report.
Okay, and what was the green for?
I think that's the plumbing,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
plumbing. I don't have the report, I don't have it open, but I think
Yeah,
the green one is for the
Commission
plumbing
on-
commission.
Commission on Aging and Plumbing Inspectors
Yes,
Committee are
they-
both in
they-
green.
They hadn't meet. They
I'm
did
sorry.
not- They did not meet.
I can have Kyle Tibbs, works our constituent service office, explain that. Do you want to come forward to the microphone?
Can you speak up, please?
While we're doing that, I do not have attachments. In fact, it says clearly no attachments.
Can anybody else open theirs? Because
Mr. Tibbs, you want to explain to the council?
Hit the refresh button on the bottom.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Green means that the city code doesn't require them to submit an annual report to the city clerk.
What was the last part?
They're not required to submit an annual report to the city clerk.
Okay.
So like the aging commission don't have to, so I believe it's in green.
Okay. Can I make the suggestion that there be a guide at the bottom of this page just to explain what the colors mean, so anyone reading it can... Okay.
we did
Thank you.
do that in the future.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Yes, we were talking about these reports during lunch, and they seem to be kind of all over the place as far as format is concerned. I think it's appropriate that we come up with one format that they all use so that we can be assured we're getting the same information from all of them.
Well, we do have forms that we send out to them and request that they fill out, but most of them do not.
Well, they have
They use
liaison
their
section
traditional
and
ones and
coverage.
change the date and fill in the information. Yeah, but we do have forms.
Okay, maybe we can encourage them to use them. Thank you.
Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.